First of all, I'm going to introduce Kathy. Thank you. Hi, how are you? Ooh, look out. Scotty, sorry about that. And also a thank you to Kathy Jamber, who I'm about to introduce. Kathy is responsible for lots of good things, including lunch. So Kathy, thank you. Thank you very much. In front of you are some other things that we'll talk about in addition to Kathy's handouts. Kathy represents what many people would call the best and the fastest growing home warranty company in the country. And Kathy is the area sales manager, just kind of a big shot, really. I've known Kathy for a long time, and one of the things that she probably won't talk about in interest of time, plus she's modest, Kathy has run, I believe, approximately 100 either 50-mile races or 100-mile races. So take that into consideration when you listen to her good words. So Kathy, thank you. Kathy will kick us off and talk a little bit about her company. I also want to introduce our friends from AMEC, Lisa and Jeff in the back. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being, Kathy's with us too. Sorry, I looked over the top of your head, Kathy, sorry. So thanks for all the great things that you guys consistently do for our company, as well as write some terrific loans for many of us in this room. So thanks for being part of this today. Kathy Jamber, I'll leave it to you. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve.
You need this, you don't.
Let's see. I don't want to hold it too close. Can everybody hear me okay? Steve has put me to the task and said that I need to do this in 5 minutes or less. I usually do this like over an entire day. So I'm going to talk really fast. I'm with America's Preferred Home Warranty. We're the warranty company that allows the homeowner to choose their own licensed contractor. We've been in business since 1999. We just entered the Minnesota market in 2015. So we're newer in Minnesota, but not new in the business. I've been in the real estate industry for 20 years as a closer, as a realtor, so I understand a lot of what you guys go through on both ends, the entire transaction, actually. And so again, we allow the homeowner to choose their own licensed contractor. I will be hanging out afterwards, so no questions since I'm on task here. And I'll answer any questions you have after this event. But this really allows the homeowner to choose somebody that they know and trust. It makes it easier for scheduling and response times. They're not waiting for us to dispatch a contractor. And it really puts them in control of the repair process. Our prices are very competitive in the marketplace, $399 with a $100 deductible, $435 with a $50 deductible. Townhouses and condos are $375 with a $75 deductible. So we have complimentary seller coverage with a product called List Secure that is unique to us. We provide legal coverage for sellers for up to 2 years post-sale. So if the buyer, for any reason, it doesn't have to be warranty related, if the buyer wants to sue that seller, in their complimentary coverage, we'll pay up to $1,000 legal coverage for them. So that writes a pretty nice attorney letter for sure. The seller preferred upgrade is $75 if they want the appliances and the HVAC covered during the listing period. You would need to add the seller preferred upgrade to the coverage, and nothing is due until closing. So if it never closes, that $75 is never due, even if they have a claim. Also, what was I going to tell you about that? I'll come back to it. Buyer coverage. In our base plan, we have roof leaks, sump pump, well, and septic coverage. And then the buyer preferred upgrade is $100. That's going to cover things like the springs on the garage door, sediment in the hot water heater. There's the optional coverages. And then we also have legal coverage for you as agents. In the event of an E&O claim, we would pay 75% of your E&O deductible or a max amount of $3,750 if a suit is ever brought against you as an agent. So they don't even have to take our warranty. They can even take somebody else's warranty. You just need them to sign our waiver and you're still protected for that first year post-sale. It's real easy to order our warranty. You can phone it in. You can, whoops, I keep forgetting that if I touch it, it goes. You can fax or email it in, but the easiest way is to go to our portal, aphw.com. It takes 45 seconds to order it that way. You can also put that app on your phone, even for Blackberries, if anybody still uses a Blackberry. And then I put a warranty booklet down on the table for each one of you. We bold what's not covered because we want to be very transparent. It's a $400, $500, $600 warranty, and not everything is covered. Our plan is very comprehensive, but not everything is covered. So we've bolded what's not covered and disclosed what is covered to make it really easy to read. We don't want surprises. You don't want surprises. I don't want surprises. Our customer service department is 24/7, 365. They can get a claim number at any time, day or night, 4th of July, Christmas, whatever. We have marketing materials, sign riders, home buyer and seller benefit sheets, magnets, everything you could need. And then I put some testimonials up here. We were voted #1 by Home Warranty Reviews last year and this year. We're pretty proud of that. We're really serious about our home warranties. So I'm going to stick around, like I said. My business card is in those folders. I've got some in your resource room. You can text me. You can call me on my cell phone. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you. Yes. Was that fast enough?
Was packed because of these 4 people sitting here. I'm going to ask for another, thank you. I keep forgetting that. Sorry about that. I'm going to ask for another 60 seconds. I want to just have everybody say hi and thank you to Stacy and to Ann and Nicole at our front desk for organizing this entire event. So you guys did a great job. Outstanding job. Thanks very much. Last thing, 60 seconds. There's 2 other pieces of paper in that pile before you. If you look for one that looks a lot like this piece of paper, that is a flyer advertising what's going to be going on in this very room next Wednesday. We have a very prominent, cool educational offering that'll be entertaining as well. There's a fellow named Tom Lundstedt, and some of you maybe have heard of Tom or heard him directly. He is noted as probably the most prominent speaker on anything and everything to do with investment real estate in the country. So he's going to be here next Wednesday from 1 till 4. You've got a flyer that'll tell some of his details. Tom has spoken to, I think, 2,500 different audiences around the country. He's the real deal. He's a lot of fun. His main premise will be to talk to us about, not the largest commercial deal you'll ever do. You can still refer that to Scotty Miller. But Tom, when you leave here after listening to Tom's presentation, you guys are all welcome to come back too. He will teach all of us how to grow our business significantly selling houses to investors. And that's really the basics of what he's going to be talking about for next Wednesday afternoon, free of charge. We'll have lunch before that. It's from 1 till 4. We've already got about 40 or 50 people signed up for that as well. So we'll have some sign-up sheets that'll go around the room before we're finished, okay? The other piece of paper, and then I'll guide you away. Take a look at this little colorful card that's in front of you somewhere. Take a look at that. You guys may have heard the rumor floating around that we're opening up kind of a cool new office in St. Paul. How many of you heard that news? It's going on. It's going on, and we're trying really hard to get it open by about Super Bowl time. And the office is located in what many people would call the fastest growing area in the Twin Cities. It's on West 7th Street, right about 2 blocks from the Excel Center. We have rented about 2,200 square feet in a beautiful old historic brick building. It's going to be crazy cool. And we'll open about the time that the Super Bowl is going on, the St. Paul Winter Carnival is going on, and something called the Red Bull Crushed Ice event. So all that's going on. I just want you guys to be aware of that. You're welcome to take a tour. It's about 2/3 finished, but we're on the rush to get it done in the next couple of weeks. So that's all I know. How are you, Alec? I haven't seen you in too long. I'm doing great. So I'm going to turn this over to Amy. Amy is going to be our host, our facilitator, to help with the introductions and the conversation that you'll hear from these very bright panelists. Thanks you guys for being here. Okay. Amy, your show.
Thanks, ladies, for coming. All right, can everybody hear me? Awesome. So we have a wonderful panel of high-producing ladies to answer some of our questions. I'm going to go through and ask a few, and then hopefully at the very end we'll have a Q&A time for the audience. So I'm going to let everybody everybody introduce themselves. Tell us your volume and how your business is structured. Are you individual agent? Are you a team? And tell us a bit about yourselves. Yeah. On. Turn on button.
It's a green light, but no sound.
There we go.
Best. Magic Stacy, thank you. I'm Shelley Holtz. I'm part of the Holtz Group here in this office. We closed 26 million in volume this last year, and we're a team of 5, 4 full-time people and then a part-time admin, and we're hiring 2 virtual assistants as well. I like to add that in because when I'm in the crowd watching panelists, I know people don't count their virtual assistants, and then I sit in the audience thinking, how in the world did they do all of that with just that number of people? So we are going to be hiring 2 virtuals to support us this year as well. And I have 2 young kids, a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, and live in Afton.
I'm Cindy Wellew, and I am in the Eden Prairie Elite office. This is my 18th year in the business. We did just under 25 million this last year, 70 transactions. 3 full-time agents, including myself, and we hired a full-time admin in August. And then, yeah, I live in Eden Prairie, and I have 3 adult children and a 10-year-old. So,
Hi, Kim Zeiton. I'm out of this Woodbury office. I closed a little under 53 million this year. I'm a single agent, and I do have a full-time assistant that is phenomenal and works 24/7, so it allows me to do the business I do. I've been with Keller for about 9 years, and I've been in the business for 27. I live in Woodbury, grew up here, so it certainly is a help and having people understand that I know the community. I've got 2 children, a daughter that's 20 and a son that's going to be 17.
Hi, I'm Cindy Freud. Thank you for having us here. Hi, Scott. I live in Minneapolis, and our office is right in downtown Minneapolis in the Mill District, right by the Guthrie Theater, if any of you know where that is. We have a very small team. Lynn Byrne, my teammate, is here in the back. Should really be up here too. We have a very small team. Lynn and I are the only licensed agents. And then, well, I take that back. Sarah is our full-time admin. She is licensed. And then we have a transaction coordinator as well who operates out of what we refer to as the mothership. That's the Uptown office. And she comes to our weekly meetings. And then we have a full-time graphic designer as well. Last year was our best year ever. We closed 75 million in volume, just the 2 of us. We had so much fun, and that's about 93 transactions. So it was a good year. My average sale price is about 1.1, and Lynn's last year was about 700, I think, which went up from about 400 the year before. And the biggest success story is actually this last year was Lynn's first year with me, and second full year with me. Her first year with me, she did 4 million, and last year she did 20 million, and I did about 52. So that's been very, very fun. Oh, and I have a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old. Forgot about them.
That's a lot of volume. Wow. So what are your biggest challenges trying to run that kind of volume and that many transactions? What's your biggest challenge on a daily basis for running your business?
Time is always the challenge.
Yeah.
Where there's just never enough time. My husband actually quit his job at US Bank about a year and a half ago to work with us. So because it was just too crazy. It was just absolute insanity to have him being in corporate America and me with my schedule, and something had to give, and it was clearly his job there. That was a no-brainer, and that just saved us. It saved our relationship, it saved our family, and it saved the business because he helps oversee all the big picture stuff. So he works really closely with Sarah, and trying to kind of, those two are the wheels on the bus. So yeah, time, that's been the biggest challenge, and keeping me out of the way of the production of the team, and just kind of staying in my own lane and letting everybody else do what they do best, and just me doing what I do. And so, does that answer the question?
I would say time is a big one. There's never enough hours in the day, without question. Keeping the momentum is huge. I think keeping the focus and staying driven for kind of the prize at the end of the year. In terms of challenge, I think having somebody that can support you is enormous. My assistant, like I said, is 24/7. She was writing an addendum last night at 9:30, and having somebody that's there to really back you so you can do the business that you want to achieve. I would say that's the biggest thing, is just knowing how to align yourself that way. Also, I think balance is important. I probably learned that more in the past year and a half or two, is just finding balance so you can have some of that personal time along with your business time. Otherwise, you'll get eaten alive.
Well, I agree with all of those things. And then just on I want to share a personal thing, because one of the biggest challenges I've had, and I know a lot of people others do as well, is mindset. And when things go really bad in your personal life, not carrying it over to the business and being able to put your energy for good instead of bad. If you focus on the bad all the time, you don't get anywhere. And I was playing oh poor me for quite a while, and I wasn't the leader I needed to be. So the biggest challenge for me was recognizing that, stepping back forward, and now rebuilding from what I had, lost from that. So biggest challenge is to don't worry about what other people think of you. I did that for a while. I was, not sharing anything that was going on, even with my team. And then you're not the leader and the person you need to be to have your team there as well. So I just say, talk about it and, do what you need to.
Yeah.
I would say everything that they said. So now I'm trying to think of, okay, what's different than I can add? I'm going to take mindset a little bit in a different twist, because for me, that's been my biggest challenge this last year. We actually held our production goals flat in 2017 compared to 2016, just so we could really figure out where are we going, why, what's our vision, and how do we need to get there? And that just takes a lot of mental energy and some soul searching too on the part of the leader. And so making sure I had time in my schedule to allow for that. So for me, the biggest challenge this last year was just really unlocking my limiting beliefs. I had a lot of fear and beliefs that were pretty firm, and they were getting in the way of me growing my business. And so I really had to spend a lot of time restructuring how I thought and redefining my beliefs so that way I could move forward. So a lot of mindset time. And now a lot of just clearing that out so I can have the schedule I want to have and focus on what I want to focus on.
Right. If there's one thing you could give up in your business, a daily task or something that you're responsible for, what would that be and why? Oh my gosh.
Well, it's easy to say lead generation, but I can't give that up. So, gosh, I can answer like my vision and where I want to go. I want to get to a spot where I'm the dedicated coach and leader on my team and replacing myself in a sales role. Now, that's going to take a lot of growth and production to get me there, but that's my vision and what I'm aiming for, because that just fills my soul when I can pour into someone else and see them grow in their career and their skill set and just feel so proud of them. And that's, just really trying to align what my strengths are and get other people in their strength zone. And so that's what I'm focused on. It's just going to take a journey to get there.
As far as a daily task, I'm trying to think. I would love if I haven't got to a point where I'm trusting my assistant yet to respond to all my emails. So that's a daily task that takes up a lot of time. So just, I'd like to get rid of that. And also I do all my own social media, and that is on my objectives for this next year, to make sure I hire someone out to do that and free up some of my time.
I would agree. Social media is one that I don't like to do, and I do it. I actually have somebody that's starting to help me out, and I'm actually researching maybe hiring a company to work on that for me. I don't like distractions, and social media is a distraction. So I think that would be the biggest thing for me. So if you have to do it, don't get tied into what everybody else is doing. Don't get tied into the other stuff people are doing during the day. Do what you need to do and get off of it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't touch it. I never go on Facebook. I don't go on Instagram. I don't know. People think people think I'm totally out of it, but that is like marketing department. So we kind of joke about it in the office because our marketing department consists of like one person. But I'll say that's not my department. So I think like staying in your own lane and just do what you do best. And it's hard because no one cares about your business as much as you do, but to let go and train people around you to care. And I think that's just contagious. And one thing that I've been trying to work on really hard, and that I continue to this year, is that letting go and trusting that Lynn knows what to do, and that Sarah knows what to do, and Alex knows what to do. And it's all for the common good, and that I don't necessarily have to have my fingers in every single thing. And as a matter of fact, things usually run more smoothly when I get my fingers out of all those things. And so, because things can just operate the way they need to, and I'm not good at everything, and realizing that, and stepping back, letting go, all of those things, and things just then naturally evolve.
What are your key business objectives for another successful year coming into the 2018?
Do you want to switch things up, or are you okay? I just feel like we're so for us, it's market share for sure. Being downtown, it's a very tight market. It's a very small sandbox that we all play in, and we all know the players. But Lynn and I are just ferocious as far as, I mean, you have to be, especially because we have a very clearly defined geographic area. And so we know exactly every single building that we want to be working in. We know the buildings we don't really care about. We know what's turning over the most, where are the highest sale prices, what's the most appealing to buyers, where is our competition. I mean, we keep, again, a ferocious eye on what is our competition doing? Why didn't we get that listing? Not from a place of entitlement, but from a place of, okay, they chose someone else. They didn't even call us. Why didn't they call us? We weren't on their radar. They're not getting our, whatever. We try to peel back the layers and figure out why. Why are we not getting that business? Why are we getting the business? And so market share for us is absolutely what we need to secure our position downtown. We want to be known as the only call to make when you want to list your property or buy your property downtown. By the way, if you have any buyers looking downtown. Seriously, I mean, it can be very confusing. I could never do single family home sales, and condo sales are an entirely different universe as well. So for us, it's controlling that market share and making our little machine as effective and as efficient as possible. And so systems and market share. And one little kink in our system this year is that our precious Sarah just announced that she's pregnant, and so she's going to be taking time off. It's public information. I didn't just spill the beans. And so we are going to have to replace her, at least temporarily, and that is going to be a critical hire, because the only way that Lynn and I are able to produce what we can produce is because Sarah and our transaction coordinator, Alex, work so well together, and they allow us to just do what we do. So that hire is going to be really important, and a bit of a distraction, and some obviously time that we're gonna have to put into that.
I have a quick question for you. So how are you advertising to that niche and those buyers and the sellers, since you are so concentrated on a specific area?
Well, we really don't do any advertising. We do a lot of marketing, and we have a good old-fashioned bricks and mortar storefront right across from the Guthrie Theater. So the foot traffic that we get going by our office, whether it's 6 a.m. or midnight from people, coming home from restaurants or from the theater, walking their dog, whatever, that physical exposure that little office can grab while we're home in bed or on vacation or whatever, that has been an absolute godsend. And that was no coincidence. That was strategic.
How
It
long
was-
have you had that location?
So I opened that office in the fall of 2008.
Oh.
Right. It was
As a-
like, and everyone says that's the worst possible timing, but you know what? It was the best possible timing. Now that I look back, it was very scary at the time, but we had no competition. Everybody was getting out of the market. And then here we are, but jumping into that physical location. I'd been working down there since 1996 anyway, but no, so we don't do advertising.
Okay.
That physical storefront, and we have a monitor in the window and all of our listings in the window. So that's probably definitely number one. And then good old fashioned marketing, and then our sponsorships as well, and our promotions. So we sponsor the Mill City Farmers Market. We sponsor Mill City Summer Opera. We do this, that film festival. So we are like everywhere that our clients are, without placing a $5,000 ad in Minneapolis St. Paul Magazine.
Sure.
So very targeted.
I would say name and brand recognition is huge. So marketing in a number of different areas, whether it's direct marketing that I do, magazine marketing, direct marketing in terms of postcards and some other different pieces that I send out, touching base with the past clients that I've had, and name recognition in terms of signs. I have so many clients that say, I see your signs everywhere. You must be, the knowledgeable agent that we need to call in the neighborhood. So just that name and brand recognition is huge in a number of different areas. I spend a lot of money on marketing and on branding throughout the year. But it's important to get me to the level that I'm at. And when somebody sees your name enough and they recognize that you do an enormous amount of volume, there's a confidence level there. So that recognition is important.
As far as key business objectives, similar to Shelley, I had to redo my vision and goals and everything, and it's very similar to yours. I don't want to be in the active sales role within the next 12 to 18 months. I want to build the team and grow all of their businesses to grow the team. So the key business objectives are to get all the systems and the processes we have adapted to the new vision and the new goals, and then perfected. So the goal this year is to actually double our volume. And for the first time in a couple of years, I'm very optimistic, and I believe that can happen. So it's exciting.
Our goal for 2018 is really focused on just doing more of what's already working for us. A lot of people in seminars I've gone to, they just have like 3 key initiatives that they do. They don't do a bazillion different things. And I think that's pretty consistent for all of us up here, is you find the key things that are working and just blow that out of the water. So this year, we're looking to double our client events to build up, that past client referral business, because that's been working. So let's just do more of it. And we're looking to expand our farm area because we're really successful with farming as well. So we want to make sure we're, increasing those numbers. And then from the team perspective, increasing people and the support that we have on our team and the energy that we bring into the team, and just more people out there networking and connecting and, being in alignment with our vision as a team to give us that momentum. So doing more of kind of what's already working.
Okay. So I know that you do a lot in Afton. And so is that your whole entire farm? Like the whole entire city?
Yeah, the whole city is my farm. So if you know of anyone. Afton was the core. That was the start of it.
Yeah.
And then now we're just growing in the River Valley.
Okay.
So just expanding from there, because once you have, again, that name recognition and that brand and success in one spot, it's easier to kind of grow from that, because they're already seeing your signs, they're seeing your directional arrows, they're seeing your name. You're already in the school district. So the growth is just strategic to make sure that we're building off of the momentum that we currently have.
Okay. Because I was going to be asking where are the leads coming from, but I think that everyone's kind of already answered, name recognition, storefront, past business, and, your farm area. So is everybody really mailing a ton of stuff to their clients and to their farms?
Yeah, we do a lot of direct mail, as well as, just networking, relationships. If it's going to be, if you're going to do any sort of geographic targeted area, it's all about the relationships and really hitting that three-dimensionally and not just with one thing. So direct mail is the foundation of it, but there's so much more. There's social media, there's sponsorships, there's relationships. So
Okay.
making sure that you're using signage strategically, again, to build your brand.
As far as mailings, do a lot of mailings to past clients and Sphere, and now adding in more for farming. So I used to do farming. It worked well. I don't know why I stopped. But I am going back to it. And I do have a farm about 8,000, and they'll get a mailing every month and then plus a quarterly. So you hear that for brand recognition, you need to hit them, I don't know how many times, 20 or 25 times. But so social media, signs, the mailings, everything, just in one core area.
I farm to all of Woodbury, so all price points, everything. I've got a mailing going out that I think it's going to be between 8 and 10,000. So it's a large group. I've been here for a long time, so I know the area as well and the communities that I want to hit. Which is, a good portion of Woodbury. In terms of marketing, I agree, sponsorship ads, even areas in the high school, maybe the musicals going on or different things. Again, all that breeds back to name recognition. They need to know you, and with that comes confidence to a buyer or a seller.
It's so interesting learning about all of our businesses are similar, but also very different because, of course, I don't have the luxury to put a sign in a yard. I mean, you guys, the sign traffic that you guys get and that all of you presumably get too with that name recognition and so on, and just the visual reminder when people are just driving anywhere with those signs. We don't have that downtown. Obviously, you can't put a sign. There's no yard. So that's why, again, our storefront is so important. And, but also just, feet on the street is so important for us because, again, it is such a small geographic area. So, if we don't have any appointments, we'll literally just go walk up and down the street. And I'll just say to, Lynn or Sarah, I'm going for a walk and I can't go 30 feet without being stopped. Oh, what's going on? Or we will just happen to go to an appointment early or stay at an appointment late and just hang out in the lobby downstairs in one of the buildings. And inevitably, lots of people in and out. Oh, what are you doing here? And of course, they know exactly what we're doing there and they want the scoop, So for us, we don't have the ability to have signs anywhere. So that, that physical feet on the street and the visual recognition of us being where they are. We don't have to be everywhere, but we need our clients to think that we're everywhere they are. And that's with, again, the sponsorships, the promotions, the neighborhood events, all of that. There's no school. It's downtown Minneapolis. So just to be at the fundraisers, at the events, hosting events all the time, that's super important.
How do you bring value to somebody that you've never met? And how do you set yourself apart from your competition if you know that there's going to be another agent coming? What do you think is your key strengths?
Yeah, I would say you really have to know what you're walking into. You have to know whether it's the buyer, if you're being interviewed, or the seller. You have to be able to identify personalities. Who is the target person that's making the decision? You have to come in with a knowledge base of knowing the community that they're in or the surrounding community, providing facts and showing confidence. Whether you've never sold in that area before, you better stack as much information as possible so they believe that you do and they have confidence in you. So when I walk in, I immediately try to identify which one am I aligning myself with more in being able to identify personalities.
I completely agree with that. And I know one of the things we do, if we have a lead, we do stalk them or we look them up on social media before we go, just to see if there's any information, because you do want to know maybe there's some kind of rapport, they'd be a better fit with someone else on the team. So we do that. And besides, we always bring a lot of information, know your stuff, right? But try to figure out when meeting with them what is really important to them, and then make sure I educate them on that. Anyone, they like to have the content be educated. Everyone likes to be educated. And so I guess I focus a lot on that.
Yeah, I guess it's not one specific value proposition that I say on every appointment because it's different. You know, you need to know your audience and what their hot buttons are. If they've been on the market before with someone who wasn't a good fit, you need to know why. You need to know what they're looking for, what are their expectations. You need to know about their property, and there's going to be a different angle that I take with each and every one of the prospects that I'm meeting with, depending on their property. What's the value proposition of that property for their ideal buyer, and then speaking to that. So it's a lot of just thinking strategically on if I were in their shoes, what would set me apart from the other agents I'm interviewing,
Yeah.
and asking those questions and doing the pre-qualification before you go on the appointment to know, what should you be talking about and what stuff do you not talk about. Maybe you talked about that a lot on the last appointment, but it's irrelevant now with the seller. So.
Did you want to answer? Okay.
I know. Yeah, all those things I'd agree with too. So doing your homework, finding out ahead of time when you're on the phone call before you even go visit them, I'll say, what are the most important things you want to discuss while we're together on Tuesday when we meet? It's not about what I want to discuss, it's about what they want to discuss. And I hate it when agents will like bring up commission and they weren't even going to ask about commission.
Yeah.
Just keep your mouth shut.
Mhm.
I listen more than I talk, always. So knowing what it is that's important to them, but then doing your homework and being prepared, totally being prepared, and knowing who your competition is. And when I know I'm in competition, because often the seller will say, well, I am interviewing agents, I will say, am I the first agent or the last agent? Because I either want to be the first one in the door or the last one in the door. You don't want to be in the middle. They're going to forget whoever's in the middle. They're always going to remember the first one and the last one. And if you're the first one, you try to close it down right there. Here you go. Let's conversations, obviously, sign right here. No need to interview anyone else. If you're the last one, that's a really good position to be in too, because you can use all the ammo that they've just given you in that conversation, because inevitably they've said, well, so-and-so said I could only get, $595 for this. And then you can use that to your advantage. So either be the first one or the last one for sure. And yeah, knowing, that they're looking on Zillow and Realtor.com and all of these sites. They know what their neighbor's house sold for, or they think they do. They know what's coming up. You better know more than they do. Be the expert. And so many, I think, of our colleagues, they're not doing their homework. The information is so readily available to us, and the only difference between us and what people can get off of public information, whether it be Zillow or public records, is our experience. They can get the same information, so you better be able to share your experience and why you can bring that value that no one else can. So be the expert. Pick the one thing and be the expert.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for the panel? Yes.
Real quick one on websites. You do
you
a
go.
one that markets. Is your website marketing your property or marketing you?
I think for us, it's marketing our brand and our properties. And ours are very photo heavy. It's very like gallery like. Nobody's coming to our website to check the weather or to check out the school districts or to check out, whatever. I mean, they're there for one reason. They want to know who we are and what we do. And so we keep it very focused. It's very kind of gallery heavy on our listings, with a lot of pictures, because that's one thing we can really use to our advantages. We've got some amazing photos. So I think that website is often the first step, and that's got to give you instant credibility. And if there's a lot of fluff with no meaning behind it, it's worthless, totally worthless.
I agree. I would say it's both. I certainly have on there. I think you need to provide information about yourself. I think you need to provide what is really like a resume online so people understand your history, what you've done, and what you've accomplished. I think there's so many generic websites out there that don't indicate anything. And, here's a couple tips on selling, or here's a couple tips on buying. They're looking for you and they want to learn about you, and that's why they're going to the site. I also promote heavily the site for my listings as well.
I actually have 5 websites. So I have a main one that is for branding and featuring my listings. And then I have 3 community sites that are all focused on the community, but they have and pay-per-click and things are driven there. So it's all for more lead generation and capturing. So there's searches on those. And then I have strictly a buyer search website that is only for lead generation. So one for branding and featuring the listings, and then the others, of course, the listings are on, but it's more for lead generation.
Our website is mostly focused on branding the team. Of course, they can search properties, again, just like all these ladies. We do Google Analytics on our website. I get that report every month. And the top pages that are being hit are Meet the Team, About Us. Our designations are the parts of our resume that we're featuring on our website. And so that's, if someone wants to look up a property, they can go to Zillow. If they want to see what homes you have listed, that's all attached to your Zillow profile too. So when they're actually typing in your URL, they want to know about you. So that's really the predominant part of that website.
Anybody else?
Can you guys touch on, I think one of the most important parts of Gary Keller's Red Book, and that is we're all challenged to identify what's our big why. We're getting to know 4 unbelievably productive and successful people. Can any or all of you talk on, why do you do this?
Good question. I struggled with that this last year. That's what I took time to figure out, to say, well, are we just going to stay comfortable and stay at this level, or are we going to take it somewhere else? Because I am addicted to growth. That's what drives me. I like to learn and grow and challenge myself. And the exhilaration that comes from having a goal and totally powering through your thoughts and fears and then achieving that is, I'm hooked on it. So I knew I was at a spot where I needed to plug into something to feed that passion. And so we just took a lot of time as a team to say, what do we want? Not what does Shelley Holtz want, but what do we want as the Holtz Group? What is our vision? And we want to be the best. So that is what drives us, is to be superior at everything we do, whether it's scripting, whether it's conversion rates, whether it's farming. That's what drives us.
That is a hard question. So my why had went away, so I had to find a new one. And I did a lot of soul searching, and I'm a very learning-based person. I love learning, but I also love teaching and helping other ones. So really my why now is to grow the business the best it can, but by mentoring and coaching other people, so that will make me feel the best, versus, I don't want to say I've already done the sales thing. I mean, I have, and it's awesome, but I think I need to use those skills now. So my why is to grow other people. And that's really what I want to do going forward. And then also maybe, I have other aspirations. I'd like to write a book, those kind of things, but I have to definitely hit this why first. It's just to grow better myself, but in turn, I'm only doing that by helping those on my team.
I would say my why is just being known as the best in the industry to help people achieve what they need to achieve. It's a very emotional thing to sell a home. Some people are doing it for reasons to downsize or to upsize, or a lot of times I see several divorces. So really being there for somebody to support them in one of their biggest investments, and do the best I can for them, and being proud of that, and doing as many deals as I can. A big why for me is selling to the level that I sell also enables me to have personal time and downtime, and having the benefits of enjoying some of those things, so I can have balance in life. So balance and focus on being one of the best in the industry would be the 2 keys for me.
Yeah, I guess the big why is why not? I mean, well, first of all, I don't know what else I would do. I don't know what else I would do. I mean, I love what I do, and it's just so much a part of my life because I've been doing it for so long. I just can't imagine doing anything else. And unlike you, Cindy, I am not management material. I have to do sales. I don't know how to lead people. That would not be my skill set at all. So I think the big why would be, again, growing the business to help everybody else grow as well. And, with my family, I want my husband, my kids, my teammates to be proud and happy. And I work hard now so that I don't have to work hard later. I see a lot of a lot of people in their 60s and 70s, and they have to work. They have no choice. They have to work. And I don't want to be one of those people. I want to work because when I get to that age, hopefully I'll be working because I want to work, not because I have to work. So what it can afford us in the future and the freedom that working hard now and working smart can give to us in the future is really valuable.
Any other questions? Sorry. Sorry. I got it too close.
What do you find most successful in your farming as far as like the flyers or the door knocking or cold calling the farming area? What do you see the best turn around on that?
Well, for us in our farm, we can't door knock. Again, it's condos. Lynn does open houses. She's become the open house queen. And I think a lot of our competition over the past few years have not been doing open houses because the thought is, oh, that's really tricky in condos. There's security issues. It's a hassle, and she's got that nailed and nobody can touch her on that. So she has gotten so much of her business. What percentage of, remember, wasn't it like 70% of your buyers this year came from open houses? Can I just tell that one story? So she is kind of a stalker. This guy, a follower, yeah. So this man came to one of her open houses, and he couldn't buzz her from the directory in the lobby, so he called her from his cell phone downstairs. And of course, do you want to tell the story? It's a great story. Oh, good. Well, you just tell the story. Great story. It's a really good story.
What do I do?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do I have to hold anything? Okay. Okay. So we have to have somebody at the door in condos to let people in, obviously. And so I had my signs out, and they have my cell number on them. So my mom helps me a lot, and she missed this guy, and he had called. Well, his area code was from DC. So I saw that I had missed a call, but I was with other people talking. So he finally came up, and we started talking. He's like, I'm looking for a small condo. I was kind of in a larger condo. So I said, oh, I know we've got some. I'll give you a call. He walked away, never signed in, wouldn't sign in. So we got a listing. It was coming on the market. So I called him that week. He's like, whoa, wow. Oh, you remembered. And like, how'd you get my number? Well, I knew DC area code. So that's why I called him. So in turn, long story short, he turned into a $2.1 million Lake Calhoun buyer. So, oh, the 300,000 is what he wanted. He decided to not stay in DC, obviously, and buy a small condo. He decided to move his whole family to Minneapolis. So wow. It works.
Yeah.
For farming, I think it's just a matter, again, being wherever your buyers and sellers are. They just kind of see you everywhere. So I don't think that there's one magic bullet. I once got a listing from, not in my farm, was a homeowner in Woodbury, and she communicated about how there's this agent in her neighborhood who farms her neighborhood, but she wasn't going to call her. And my ears just really perked up on that listing appointment, not because it affected that transaction, but I had something to learn on, gosh, could there be some people in my farm intentionally not calling me for a reason that I'm not even aware of? And she said, she sends us all this stuff, but she never once knocks on my door. She doesn't, it's all me, but she's not personable. And that was a big eye opener. And I took a lot from that conversation to say, hey, I got to make sure that I have a balanced approach here and that they see me as a human being and not just a name.
Well, and I agree. I don't know if it's one necessary thing. Mailings have always been usually successful, but only if they're done consistent. Because if they're not, if you do 1 or 2 a year, you're not going to get the results. But social media postings, community involvement, sponsor, baseball team or a basketball team or put a ad in the, basketball program at the high school, something like that. So you're always seen. And kind of what you're saying, we have tested a couple of our mailings too to see what's better. And if it's all about, I'm so great, I'm number one, I sell all these houses, that does not get us the same return as telling them what the benefit is to them. You average maybe 3.9% higher than the average agent for, your price on your house, something like that, or how fast you sell versus, so what's the benefit to them versus just bragging about yourself? I would say would be better.
I would say direct mail is huge. I have a lot of people when I come in their home, they'll show me the postcard that they got. And name recognition of signs is probably one of the biggest things that I hear is my signage.
And I'll just add one more thing. Being able to kind of, when you do have a farm, whether it's small or large, controlling that farm is so important. And so to be able to have that market share and understand all about it. I mean, again, you better know things that your client doesn't know. That's why they want to hire you, because they're assuming you know something they don't know. And a big part of our business actually comes from having both sides of the transaction. Depends on the year, but we average probably 35% dual agency, where we're selling our own listings. Sometimes 40%. I'm selling my own listing, or Lynn's selling my listing, or I'm selling her listing, or whatever. That is huge. And because the inventory downtown is so tight, that also about 40% of our listings never hit MLS. So those units are being sold before they ever hit MLS. The new person is moving in before their neighbor even knew that their neighbor was selling in the first place. So that those pre-MLS sales are super important to our business.
How are you advertising those?
It's networking, it's word of mouth, but more often than not, we've already got a buyer in our pocket. And that sounds like a big sales pitch, when you're going on a listing appointment, but it's true. And if we don't have the buyer, we've got, a back pocket full of other agents who have already contacted us saying, if you get anything in this building, call me right away. I've got to, so we're ready to go. Yes. Exactly. That's a huge part in getting the buyer rep paperwork signed, because we will say that about 40% of our sales will sell before they hit MLS. And if we're going to show you non-MLS listings, we're going to need that buyer rep sign. If we're going to go hunting and gathering and scouting all over for you, we're going to need to know that you're committing to us before we're committing to you, because we're only going to show those non-MLS listings to buyers who have signed a buyer rep.
Can I ask you specifically, do your sellers ever object for dual agency?
No, they love it. They love it because they know that the buyers we're bringing to them are already pre-qualified. It's not, Joe Schmo coming in from Denver. We know these people. We've been working with them. They love it. And oftentimes it's a sensitive situation where they don't necessarily want the whole world to know that their place is on the market. If it's a job transfer, if it's a divorce or whatever, they want it nice and quiet and discreet, and we can offer that. So they love it when we can bring the buyer. It's a lot less headache usually. But we give them the choice, because we'll also say, listen, if we sell it right away, that also means if you didn't put it on MLS, we didn't really test the open market now, did we? So that is a choice that they have to make.
Do you try to list them a little higher?
So if the seller wants to get really aggressive on price, and if we think that's a little bit high, we will say, listen, here's a good way to test that without facing any public humiliation. Let us get a couple of our buyers in here. Let me make a few phone calls to a few other agents that I know have buyers in this price range. If we have 3 or 4 showings before it goes on MLS and we get no offers, or that the feedback is the price is too high, well, then that is telling us something. And then we can make that adjustment before we put it on MLS without facing any public humiliation. But if we have 3 or 4 showings pre-MLS and we get 3 or 4 offers, whammo, then you got to be ready to go, so.
Well, it's 12:30. Does anybody have one last question? Lisa?
I would have hired an assistant far more quickly than I did, but I was so scared that I couldn't afford it. That I didn't have the business to sustain, a salary for, I would have hired that first assistant much faster.
I agree because I've only had my assistant for 1 year, so that absolutely is me. One thing I wanted to bring though, that I wanted to mention that you had on one of your questions that I think is important and maybe ties into this a little bit, especially for somebody starting out, is what is the daily business ritual or how do you stay focused and motivated? And I think that's so broad in so many different businesses is what do you do? And having a ritual is really important. I am up by 7. I have a protein shake. I work out for an hour. That's my caffeine. And then I start into work immediately. No distractions. I have a home office. So no TV, no music, no interaction with other people, laser focused. And that's the key. You have to get up in the morning and you have to have a plan. You have to be driven and you have to be motivated and you have to step away from what's going on in the world or what's going on in the office. I had an office here the first year and it was incredibly distracting. And for me, it's all about being laser focused. So really try to commit that to yourself. And every day, what is your morning ritual and what gets you moving and shaking and doing your business every day?
Well, and Kim, you are top 20 in worldwide with Keller Williams. And if you've just hired her first assistant, kudos to you.
Well, I agree with you on that too, because I did not have a morning ritual until I started about a month ago and I've made it every day. So I'm pretty proud of myself, but I get up at 5:30. I have a meditation, I have reading, and I have a workout. And then I eat, and then I make the important decisions for the day, because if I make important decisions later in the day, I usually will make maybe not so smart ones. So I try to, that's when my focus and my energy is the best, is the morning. So that's when I make my most important ones. And as far as doing something sooner, I would say I should have hired slower and fired fast. I've had a lot of the wrong people on my bus. And I've tried to work through things I shouldn't have. And then so I think probably that. And if you haven't read The Energy Bus, that book, I've read it 3 times now. That's the best book I've read for a while. So it talks all about getting the right people on and off your bus, not only in business, but life.
I read that book too. It's awesome. A lot of good stuff by that author too. I too have a morning ritual, so I'm just going to answer those questions to stay consistent. So doing journaling, mindset work, going for a walk, again, my caffeine along with a cup of coffee, and meditation, just getting my head on straight and then diving right into being focused and what that routine is. I'm very much, if it's the same every day, then it's not as much mental energy to work into what I need to get focused on. And the biggest thing for me is probably just tackling my fears. I just kind of always, I'm very intuitive thinker and make decisions based off of feelings. And it wasn't until this last year that I finally embraced the fact that everyone who's successful is scared to burst through that ceiling, whatever that ceiling is and whatever fear they're hearing. And that it's normal. I always kind of thought, oh, if it's scary, I shouldn't do it. And I think I just wasted some momentum and opportunities by letting fear paralyze me. So 2018 is all about, the chatter can be in my head and I can be scared. I'm just not going to listen to it anymore.
Thank you, everybody. I think there's still lunch in the lunchroom if anybody wants to grab some, and thanks for attending.